Welcome to this walkthrough for East West's Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition, produced by Doug Rogers and Nick Phoenix with Academy Award-winning sound engineer Sean Murphy. In addition to the sleek new interface, Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition includes over 130 gigabytes of brand new recordings, reimagined original content, new mood presets to instantly transform the timbre and intensity of your instruments, fully customizable articulations and key switches, lightning-fast load times, the ability to audition and download individual instruments, dozens of brand new MIDI tools and mixer effects, and the all-new Hollywood Orchestrator, which allows you to combine and compose with multiple instruments simultaneously. In this video, I'll focus on the new features and new instruments in Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition, and we have another separate walkthrough that's available that focuses on using Hollywood Orchestrator. The composition at the start of this video uses many of the new instruments from Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition, along with Hollywood Orchestrator to create a fantastic sound. So now that you've heard what the whole orchestra sounds like together, let's check out a few of the individual instruments. One of the new additions to Hollywood Strings is the 18 violins instrument. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's an 18-person violin section, all playing in unison for a nice, lush violin ensemble. The Long Notes folder has several different sustained playing styles. Here's the standard sustain patch on its own. Now let's take advantage of one of the new features of Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition and switch this to a soft mood. Moods transform the sound of the instrument in a variety of ways. We'll go into more detail about moods later on in the walkthrough. Another new thing you'll notice is that we've simplified many of the instrument versions down to Light and Max. Light contains half of the dynamic and vibrato layers and is designed for standard computing systems, and Max contains all of the dynamic and vibrato layers and is designed for more powerful computing systems. Now let's take a listen to the sustain accent and marcato patches. Sul Ponticello Tremolo is a playing style where the players play tremolo style close to the bridge, bringing out more of the higher harmonics. And the Sul Tasto Flout patch is where the bow is drawn very lightly across the strings near the fingerboard for a softer, gentler tone. In the short folder, you have several different short playing styles, including marcato short, marcato long with vibrato, repeated notes, spiccato, and staccato styles. In the effects folder, you have three special effects: tremolo, repetitions, and penderecki. This one is an unorthodox string effect made famous by Polish composer Krzysztof Penderecki. Let's take a listen to the tremolo. The legato folder has 6 different legato portamento and legato slur playing styles. And the key switch folder contains a key switch master patch where multiple playing styles can be called up using the blue key switches on the left. Here's an excerpt that uses a few different playing styles. Now, let's hear what the 18 violins sound like in the context of a composition. The new additions to Hollywood Brass include a new 2-trumpet ensemble and a 2-trombone ensemble. These 2 trumpets are great for big, majestic horn themes. Let's check out the sustain patch with our new soft and epic mood presets. Now, sustain accent. And sustain mutes. The short folder contains various long and short playing styles. And now let's try out the legato slur patch. Now let's check out the two trombones, starting with the sustain and sustain accent patches. Here's some trombones examples from the short folder. And here are some examples of the various effects. Now, let's try out the simulated legato for these trombones. And finally, let's hear the two trumpets and two trombones in the context of a composition. There are also 3 new woodwind instruments: 3 bassoons, 3 clarinets, and 3 flutes. Let's check out the 3 bassoons long folder. And now, an example from the short folder. And finally, legato. Okay, now let's head over to the long folder for the 3 clarinets. And now an example from the short folder. And again, legato. Now let's really focus in on the three flutes, starting with the long folder. And now a three flutes short example. And legato. Beautiful. Now let's finish out the woodwinds by listening to that same instrument in the context of a composition. All of these new grouped unison instruments have been combined together in a single ensemble instrument with 3 flutes, 3 clarinets, 3 bassoons, 2 trumpets, 2 trombones, 18 violins, and 7 basses all playing together simultaneously. Let's check out some examples, starting with the Sul Tasto patch in the long folder. In addition to the new instrument recordings, a lot of time was spent reimagining the original content from Hollywood Orchestra. The team at East West went through and carefully reprogrammed many of the original instruments. Major improvements were made for the original woodwind and solo instruments in particular. All the new recordings were again captured in East West Studio One, the home of countless film and television scores. The exact same microphones and setup were used as last time, and of course, we brought back legendary sound engineer Sean Murphy to help us achieve that goal. Sean Murphy is one of the most prolific sound engineers and mixers in the history of cinema. Just some of his over 500 feature film credits include the Star Wars franchise, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, the Hunger Games movies, Apollo 13, Saving Private Ryan, Titanic, and the list goes on and on. You know you're gonna get that magical Hollywood sound when Sean Murphy is involved. Brand new to Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition is the addition of mood presets. These allow you to instantly transform the timbre of a patch between classic, epic, and soft mood presets. These control the overall intensity and dynamic of the instrument. Classic is the default sound from the original Hollywood Orchestra series. It's a good, all-around medium intensity, and here I'm using the 6 horns staccato instrument. The Epic Mood preset will give you a bigger, brighter, more in-your-face dynamic. And the Soft Mood preset gives you a softer, warmer, more distant sound. With these, there's no need to spend time tweaking presets. You can completely change the timbre of an instrument with just a single button press. The main factors that influence the mood presets are the mic positions that are loaded up and the type of reverb that's used here. You can see in the 18 violins patch that the classic mood loads up the main microphones along with a string hall reverb. When I load up the epic mood, this loads up the close mics and the surround mics along with the main mics and switches the reverb over to a cathedral reverb. Then in the soft mood, this pulls up the mid and surround channels and uses an organ hall reverb. For strings, it also turns on the Consordino performance script. In addition to the mic positions and reverb changes, moods also change the sound of an instrument using advanced, under-the-hood tools that access different dynamics of an instrument patch. So for soft, it emphasizes the softer dynamic layers, and for epic, it emphasizes the louder dynamic layers. And if you want to tweak the sound of the moods further, you can create your own custom mood snapshots. Load up any mood, tweak the settings of that mood, then click up here to create a snapshot of those new settings. Now you can recall any of your custom snapshots in the future. The new instruments in Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition have a new microphone channel, the stage mics. Let's compare these to the main mics. So I'll click here to unload the main mics, and then click here to load the stage mics. The stage mics give you a wider, more diffuse sound because they're a widespread stereo pair as opposed to the main mics in a decatree formation. You can also blend these together for the best of both worlds. Another new feature of Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition is the ability to easily create articulation sets and set the articulations to any key switch you like. For example, I have the 18 violins key switch master pulled up, and this is a big instrument, so it's going to use up a considerable amount of memory. But let's say, for my purposes, I don't need all 10 articulations in this patch. So what you can do is unload the patches that you're not going to use. So you can do this just by clicking on these buttons on the left side of the articulations panel, and this will completely unload these from RAM. So for example, maybe I want the sustained accent, I want sustained marcato short, I'll get rid of the marcato vibrato, the sol ponticello, the sol tasto, And down at the bottom, I'm going to turn on tremolo. Now, this just turns these on or off. It doesn't actually assign the key switches for these. To do this, click on the Articulations tab at the top, and you can actually load and unload these from here as well if you'd like. But what you can also do is set custom key switches for each of these. So right-click on one, make sure key switch is selected, and then set the pitch for each articulation. So I'll set my sustained accent to C0, the staccato to D0, I'll set the marcato to E0, and I'll set my trem to low F0. And then you can remove any key switches you don't want to see. So you can right-click and set this to none, and now I can quickly switch between my 4 custom key switches. You can even bring these up an octave or two if you like your key switches a bit closer to the playable range. I find this particularly helpful if you're working with smaller size keyboards, like a 61 key or 49 key. In addition, you can now create custom articulations for any key switch instrument contained in all EastWest products. You'll notice as well that all legacy EastWest interfaces have been updated with Retina graphics. And you can now audition and download individual instruments from EastWest's massive catalog of instruments. Instead of spending hours downloading one single product, you can just grab what you need. This feature in particular will be very popular with Composer Cloud members, who have access to every instrument in EastWest's arsenal. So that's Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition from EastWest. It's a complete reimagining of their flagship orchestral library. Not only do these new features make it better, but it's also easier to use. And combined with Hollywood Orchestrator, I think it's going to set a new standard for achieving professional-sounding orchestral soundtracks. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you how you can quickly create a score with Hollywood Orchestrator. And stay tuned for a later walkthrough where we'll take a deep dive into all the new features and mixer effects of the new Opus software engine. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.